Welcome to FAKERYLAND 2016, the fakest music festival in the universe.
None of this is real.
Get in.
Hello to the DART International Music Festival, and welcome to the International Space Station. I'm Katie Coleman. I'm a NASA astronaut and a flute player.
Nothing man-made had ever been so global. Everyone knew it was there. Suddenly, a future in space seemed possible.
And here we got it, ladies and gentlemen. NASA's first CGI image of Earth from outer space. Including the first man-made satellite, Sputnik.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steve, Deceive.
Let me just explain that what happens when Professor Hawking wishes to speak. He lost his voice a couple of years ago and now has to use a voice synthesizer, and he can control a squeeze box in his hand, and on the VDU screen on the arm of his chair he's got a vocabulary which scrolls through, and he can pick out the words that he wants, and these words are then assembled into a sentence, and when the sentence is ready then he can process it through the voice synthesizer. So whenever you're ready, Professor Hawking, we'd like to hear from you. Professor Hawking.
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you.
To be clear, being 5 centuries regressed in your reasoning doesn't mean we all can't still like your music.
Is everything okay?
No, Neil, everything is not okay. This BS about the earth being flat is getting out of control. Can you please help us? Can you please help us? Can you please help us?
All right, hold my sandwich.
Oh, sure.
Well, you said science should be skeptical of politics. Don't you? We ought to be a little skeptical about science too. I mean, can we trust you guys? Carl Sagan, can we trust you guys?
Well, here we are on a planet which is about 5,000 million years old.
Tens of millions of years.
The sun around which it goes is not much older. It is part of a galaxy which is perhaps 10 or 12,000 million years old.
Billions of years ago.
Which is one of perhaps hundreds of thousands of millions of other galaxies.
It's around 50 million.
Carl Sagan,
can you please help us?
At the time of the Big Bang,
4 billion years
there was energy, elementary particles, which slowly evolved into the kind of universe we know today. We are the product of a grand evolutionary sequence.
Around 530 million years.
That is 1 with 120 zeros after it.
It's around 460 million years ago. Something like 225 million years.
I'm gonna have to do something I rarely do. I gotta hit the science panic button.
Science Emergency Defense Program initiated. Science Emergency Defense Program initiated.
Oh my God.
55 million years.
Can we trust you guys?
Mr. Kako, can you please help us?
I disagree. You'd be put in prison for saying a fraction of the things that you just said. If you disobey the emperor, off with your head.
Around 4 billion years ago.
Okay, let me ask you a question now. On tape, let me ask you a question.
Absolutely.
Who was behind 9/11? Are you a conspiracy theorist?
Not
Are
really.
you these people that think that maybe George W. Bush toppled his own building? What do you think is behind 9/11? Let me ask you that question. Who was behind 9/11?
I think.
Let me ask you a question.
Answer me a simple question. Who is behind 9/11? I give you the courtesy of being on your show. You should give me the courtesy of answering one simple question. Let me ask you a question. And if you don't agree with it, you get your fingernails pulled out.
Can you please help us? Can you please help us?
Mr. Kako.
We burned him alive.
Oh, this just got real, y'all.
Can we trust you guys?
I have a globe of it right next to me. What were those conditions like? To this deep ice age condition that Mars has today. Is there life there? Could there once have been life? Are there fossil forms?
Of science.
Science!
What does that mean, actually?
That means, how are all you? I am very pleased to see you this afternoon.
That just makes no fucking sense.
Bill Nye. Gravity is the glue that holds our solar system together. Gravity pulls on the planets and keeps them in orbit, the same way this rope pulls on this ball. Now when planets are close to the sun, they spin around faster than when they're farther away. That's because even though they're going fast, they have a longer distance to go when their orbits are bigger. You with me? You see what I'm saying? You with me? Okay.
4 billion years.
What does that mean, actually?
This means we are here for a purpose, which is something to do with your Earth.
I mean, this is bullshit.
Just imagine what our world would be like if we didn't know the stars, if we didn't know the cosmos. Our ancestors would not have been able to reckon the seasons and raise their crops and then raise their children. We wouldn't have been able to navigate on the high seas and produce the commerce that makes our world go round. Today, you can take out your mobile phone and tell which side of the street you're standing on because we have satellites orbiting in space. But you can know that. You can tell.
I love gold. I love gold. I love gold so much that I even lost my genitalia in an unfortunate smelting action.
This is art.
I love gold.
And the cosmos is science.
Can we trust you guys?
Mr. Buzz Aldrin!
Can you please help us?
Yeah, we're holding hands all the way and upside down and sideways.
She blinded me with science!
Super duper Mario.
Gravity has completely gone away. I've cancelled gravity out. If you understand that, you
A message to you. Before long, in 1969, we are going to show you proof.
Fuck. Oh my.
Excellent, just outstanding. Yeah, excellent, just outstanding.
So when I found out that I was selected to live and work on board the International Space Station, the first thing I tried to do was figure out how to get my flute on board. I actually have my own flute. I have a silver flute from Mr. Ian Anderson. I have an Irish flute from Mr. Matt Malloy. And I also have a tin whistle from Mr. Paddy Maloney. So now it's time to do what I think we all love to do, and that is play music.
From Wonders of the Solar System is Professor Brian Cox.
Can you please help us? Can you please help us?
So you've got the Earth's gravity.
which depends on its mass, really, how much stuff is in the earth. It's pulling it down, pulling it down. So you can imagine there's a force on the ground. And the bigger you build the thing, the more the force is. It's actually on Earth, the mountain Mauna Kea, which is one of the Hawaiian volcanoes. It's actually taller than Everest. If you've got a big enough planet with enough gravity, essentially, then anything that gets too big will sink. And gravity just works in it. It doesn't count. Into a circle, to a sphere, it doesn't count. And then you look out into the solar system, the little moons, less than about 150 miles across or something like that, have not got enough gravity, so they're all misshapen. It's called the potato radius. So you get a potato shape. If I want to make that into a ball, then I have to apply enough force to overcome if I don't apply enough force, then it'll stay like some sort of mistake, potato shape. Our beautiful spherical Earth.
It's because gravity attracts everything towards the centre that they form as spheres.
Because gravity doesn't care about direction, it will form a shape. Now, the only shape in nature that looks the same is a sphere.
But gravity gives planets a helping hand to form that perfect shape.
Now imagine, over millions and millions of years as the Earth grows, how many millions and millions of pieces of rock smash into the Earth, make it grow.
Its solid core, making it even easier for the sphere to form.
I believe it already.
So that's what gravity is doing, really. It's acting as a force that's squashing it down, and it'll turn it into a sphere because it acts the same in every direction.
Professor Brian Cox, is it the truth or were you telling a lie?
It was a lie.
It was a lie.
Hi, I am Jack's astronaut Koichi Wakata. Welcome to Story Time from Space.
You're not real. You're not real.
What? You are? Is any of it real? I mean, look at this. Look at it! A world built on fantasy, hypnotizing us into the biggest slumber mankind has ever seen. Real? You want to talk about reality? Dig pretty deep, kiddo, before you can find anything real. We live in a kingdom of bullshit.
Mission Control, this is the International Space Station.
Good to see you. Hey, welcome aboard, everybody. Welcome to our little zero-G fantasy land. Welcome to our little zero-G fantasy land. Welcome to our little zero-G fantasy land.
Yeah, we can play Scrabble in space. Just keep it velcroed to the wall or the ceiling.
Please welcome the Retired Liars.
Expedition 5 was a busy mission and we accomplished a lot. We conducted over 20 different experiments.
Here I have a single graviton that's floating free in the cabin and it's spinning. You can see it wants to spin. I can't make it tip over. It's stable about the axis I let it go in. The spin axis is up and down.
Just goes around, doesn't go straight. Just sort of floating around. I'm throwing the paper boomerang and we'll see what happens. We'll watch it again. And Boy, look how fast that travels across the spaceship. It really surprised me. We'll watch it.
This should be a graphic demonstration of a spinning and a non-spinning graviton. You see the spinning graviton stays stable while you see that one is spinning and one is not. And the one that's not spinning just tumbles free while the other one maintains the orientation I let it go in.
The racquetball has less mass than the pool ball, and as a result, it will always travel faster than the pool ball, even if I throw the pool ball at the racquetball. Now if I tape the two of them together and again hit the racquetball with another pool ball, you'll see it curves around the pool ball.
Boy, that thing shot up like a rocket, and that caught me by surprise. I didn't expect that in this microgravity environment that it would go up to that.
I was playing with the clacker balls one afternoon on the shuttle, and I had let them go and they drifted apart and they did this funny motion. So what I tried to do was get that funny motion to repeat itself. I experimented a little bit. I tried various different actions by spinning them in one direction. Before flight, I had to practice with the clacker balls a bit since I had never played with them before. I became quite proficient at using the clacker balls.
Here I have a curious combination of two gravitons that are attached together on a wiffle ball. And I have them both spinning in the same direction. So spinning opposite directions cancel each other, orthogonal to each other. That is, their alignment to each other. And I'm going to spin them all in the same direction with reference to their attachment to the wiffle ball.
This ball and cup was one of the more difficult. You can see that the ball just won't stay in the cup as it does on Earth. Of course, on Earth we have gravity holding the ball in the cup. When I put the ball in the cup and then push to hold it, I actually pushed the ball away. So I never could get the ball to stay inside the cup. We'll try again. I just push on the ball and that pushes the ball out again.
I try to throw this ping pong ball the old-fashioned way, but it doesn't curve down toward the target like I would expect on Earth. And then I attempt to throw another ball with some twist to see if it changes the direction of the ball. Whoops. Now one thing you'll have to remember is that the Velcro of the ball does have to touch the target. Let me try this again. And then I'll throw it one more time with some spin.
Getting the car to run on the track was a bit easier in space than on Earth because the car didn't have to build up as much velocity to stay on the track as it did on Earth.
Here's an experiment, a good demonstration of how a non-spinning graviton behaves just like a ball on the end of a string. I can change the axis of rotation just like you could with anything attached to a string. Once I spin this graviton, look how it maintains that stability around its rotation axis. I can spin it around and around, and it wants to stay in an orientation that the spin it.
As you can see, that without the effect of gravity, the shoe just bounces off. And the shoe right at the pole, I'm going to use a spinning motion to see if I can catch the pole. At this point, the shoe is pretty stable in a spinning motion around the pole. Without the effect of gravity, it doesn't slow down and settle at the bottom of the pole.
One of the things that always impressed me here on Earth was the ability of the professional basketball players to spin around and make these really neat moves. Well, I was trying some of that in space.
We had this thing floating around, but without the effect of gravity, it just doesn't work the same way.
That's a funny looking snake-like thing. We got a big kick out of seeing that. How they reacted when we spun them around. As I spin them, it becomes more and more difficult as I go faster and faster for the marbles to stay together.
And it doesn't matter whether I hold the rod up or whether I hold it down, because in this microgravity environment, there is no up and down.
Thank you for listening here on Story Time from Space.
I think between the 130 different experiments we're running all around the laboratories, the chance for board games and space darts, and now space curveball, there's never any shortage of things to do here on the International Space Station. In the acting profession, I have tried to always know my lines.
For medical research.
Our medical experiments.
For medical research.
Our medical experiments.
An actor.
I have tried to always know my lines.
This is what we call the A-Red.
For weightlifting.
You can lift weights.
An actor.
I have tried to always know my lines.
It's one of the biggest modules. It's nice. It's clean. It's roomy.
Still the tidiest largest.
And it is always the quietest and cleanest place.
It's clean, it's roomy.
My lines, my lines, my lines, my lines.
Alright, lights, camera, action. Here we go. Get those stadium lights on. See how they're lighting from behind and below? You can see the little flashes of the little boosters once in a while. Those are fake too. If you slow it down and stop it, you'll notice every time it flashes it's in the exact same area. And there goes a bubble from the tank. Whoops. They tried to speed up the film so it was harder to see those things, but I still seen it. Alright, here's a CG transition because all of a sudden the Earth shows up. Still notice how the lighting source is from the bottom and below, but look, you can see the sun is to the bottom right corner of the planet. Why isn't the right side of the station lit up? Alright, we're all CG now. You can actually see the masking lines around the station. It's very faint, but you can see it. If you pause it, you can see the straight lines. And actually you can see an error coming up right here in the CG. A tiny little panel, it's having a hard time processing it. It wants to disappear and goes opaque. See a little bit of it, and then it totally disappears. Here's that masking line I was talking about, and the missing panel. And this footage is actually zoomed in the editor. I believe it's probably 180%. I added this fine edge filter to show you that this thing is fake as all hell. If it was a real object, it'd be sharp and clear, and it isn't.
It's hard to imagine how big the space station is inside, but if you picture one of the biggest airliners, like something the size of a 747, if you had that entire internal volume of a 747 for only 6 people.
And here you have it, NASA's fakery.
Jelly beans, but then how to eat these in space? This is truly challenging because as soon as I open this bag, all of these are going to want to come out. And so, I'm going to have just a couple come out.
Hello.
He's waving to us. He's waving to us.
question is, what does the space station smell like?
What does it smell like? It maybe smells like being in an airplane.
I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, bitch. Alright, listen once and for all. The Earth looks flat because, one, you're not far enough away at your size. Two, your size isn't large enough relative to Earth to notice any curvature at all.
That's all. Just happens to be a lie. Just happens to be bullshit in my eye.
Please the speed without the tags.
This is my friend Bill Nye.
Go to a seashore and figure out why you can't, if you live on the East Coast, figure out why you can't see Spain from the East Coast of North America. Or go to the top of a hill or a mountain and you'll see a little farther. But you will not see to the other side of the Earth, places we know to exist. For example, I've been to Vancouver, British Columbia, and you cannot see Vancouver, British Columbia from New York City.
That is bullshit. Now, if you want to believe it, it's okay. If you want to believe bullshit, it's okay. It's okay.
Small sections of large curved surfaces will always look flat.
Like that.
To little creatures that crawl upon it.
Bullshit. Now, Von Braun might have been in favor of it, but that is bullshit.
Discovery and exploration got us out of the cave.
Then if you'd like, look at pictures from space.
As presidential candidates.
Those pictures are not fake.
Ignorance shouldn't be thought of as a bad word. Right? Ignorant just simply means you don't know. Well, we have many lines of evidence to show that Earth is round, including Apollo photos of the round Earth.
Fresh wine on the beat.
Like it was on the moon, but really it wasn't on the moon. It was bullshit.
We left our planet, journeyed off into space, turned around and took a picture to see our beautiful spherical Earth.
Those pictures are not fake. Here's why you can tell they're not fake. Just the paperwork to send anything out in space, to send people into orbit or to send them to the moon. That amount of paperwork would make faking it prohibitively expensive. No one could afford to generate that much documentation.
We've been fed a lie. We've been fed lie.
Or no one could afford to generate that much documentation. No one could afford that much paperwork.
Millions of
No one could afford to generate that much documentation.
There's a growing anti-intellectual strain in this country. It may be the beginning of the end of our informed democracy. In a free society, being wrong becomes being harmful to the health, the wealth, and the security of our citizenry. It's a fundamental fact of calculus and non-Euclidean geometry. And by the way, this is gravity.
With gravity, the bigger the mass, the stronger the attraction.
Not on our mission, but if you'll close your eyes and pay attention,
Without gravity, there'd be no you. There'd be no me.
What a great idea.
There'd be no Earth. There'd be no sky.
It just happens to be a lie.
Isaac Newton, my man, said, if I had seen farther than others, it's by standing on the shoulders of giants.
Well, but I'm sure if we asked him after it, he would have said, oh shit.
And you guys, come on.
I don't care what you say. By the way, I saw him one day, by the way, it was on the moon. By the way, which we had an experiment to do, by the way.
Navigation's changed the world, by the way.
That is bullshit. By the way,
You're wearing stuff that came from another part of the world, by the way.
Where are they?
On a ship, by the way.
Okay.
It didn't get here by magic. It got here through science.
Woo! Once again, if you closed your eyes and just paid attention, that you would see
the Earth in its shape with extraordinary precision.
I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, bitch. You might just see far enough to realize the Earth isn't flat.
From here, the Earth certainly looks flat.
It's round, okay?
It's a sphere.
It's not actually a sphere.
Its spin is a little stretched it, made it slightly oblate.
A little chubbier. Yeah, chubby's a good word.
Where it ends up as a ball.
It's oblate. And officially it's an oblate spheroid.
So you get a potato shape.
It's like pear-shaped.
It's cool.
The pear-shapedness is bigger than the height of Mount Everest above sea level.
Now, one thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth. There's no place to go. There's no...
How do we know the Earth is not flat?
We don't. It's flat.
And so I played instruments, especially my favorite songs. This was the last question. Thank you very much.
This was FAKERYLAND 2016. Thank you for watching. See you all next year.
Oh, this world is not